Vanessa here with Paradox Comedy. Today I'm going to be interviewing Nathan Donovan. He is a well-known comic around here in San Diego, and he hosts the very popular Tuesday night open mic at American Comedy Company. And you guys should go check it out if you haven't or you've never gone. It's so much fun. Definitely one of the best mics around town. So we are just going to wait for him to log on here real quick. We'll get him on and start asking him some questions and finding out more about him as a stand-up comic and just as somebody here who's pretty much a staple in San Diego comedy, quite honestly. Everybody knows who Nathan Donovan is. So let's get him on here. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining. And let's see here. If you have any questions for Nathan while we're on here, feel free to throw them in the chat and the comments, or I think that there's actually like a question box. All right.
There we go.
There you are.
Hi.
Hey, how's it going? Hey, you're sideways.
Oh, sorry, let me fix that. There we go.
There you are. Hey, thanks for joining me today. I'm excited to talk with you.
Oh, thanks for having me. I am so excited to get to talk comedy in the comfort of my own home. It's a rare luxury, so thank you.
Yeah, of course. I know. I always wonder that. Sometimes I'm like, should I do these in person? But then I'm like, you know what? It's so convenient just to like hop on here and just chat. So
yeah, if it was in person, I would. Every booker can tell you what day is it. Oh, I can't something on the family calendar. But you know, just hey, Sunday afternoon, no driving anywhere. Absolutely can make that.
Hell yeah, especially when it's rainy. It's like, nobody wants to deal with that. So, all right, Nathan, I adore you because I love the ACC open mics. They're so much fun, and you are the key piece to doing that. But you're just also, I've seen part of your stand-up. I wish I had seen more of your stand-up, but I see that as you're doing the mic. And also, I feel like you open for somebody who I went and saw once, and I can't remember who. So I want to learn more about, but you're just so naturally funny. You have great stage presence.
Thank you.
You can tell that you've been doing this a while, but I want to know more about that. So I know you're originally from New York. What made you come out here? Do you miss it? Tell that.
Dirty secret. When people ask in San Diego, they're like, "Oh, where are you from?" I say I moved out here from New York City, because then they're like, "Oh, okay, oh, New York City. All right." I'm actually dirty secret. Born and raised in the Midwest, Springfield, Illinois. Yeah. So I moved to New York City for 2 years, and I lived in Brooklyn and worked in Manhattan. And then in 2005, I came out for ComicCon, which is part of my act, and was like, I'm moving. I'm never missing another one of these, and moved out here 6 months later. So I was only 2 years on the East Coast, but people always tell me I have an East Coast vibe. When I told everybody in the Midwest I'm moving to New York City, they were not like, "Oh, you're going to get taken advantage of. That city's going to eat you alive." They were like, "Yeah, that seems like a pretty good fit. You're an abrasive asshole. Yeah, it seems like it might work out." So
that's hilarious. So where are you from originally?
Springfield, Illinois.
Illinois. All right, got it. Okay, so how do you feel like, well, yeah, that makes sense though, because you do have more of that East Coasty vibe. Do you miss the East Coast at all?
Yeah, definitely. You miss the people out there on the East Coast. It just seems like everybody's freaking hilarious. You know, I go out to the East Coast for work a couple times a year, and you know, I just love it out there because the people are there so thick-skinned and everything. And you know, sometimes it's just like a green room conversation, just you know, with a bunch of people in a bar or in the office, just because everybody just loves cutting it up. So out here, you get a little bit more people that can be a little bit more sensitive and everything, and you know, don't want to bust people's balls, which you know I absolutely love. So you know, miss it out there, but the weather absolutely not. Last time I was out there, I was in New York City in 2019 in December for the tree lighting ceremony, and a winter snap came in, and I was just walking around. I was just like, the smartest thing you ever did, man, was move to San Diego. Hands down, it's the smartest thing.
Right. Yeah. And I just, one of the few, I don't think we've ever talked in person actually, but one of the first times that I did edit like a reel or anything on ACC or even the open mic, I had kind of described you as having like this like villain vibe.
Yes, I remember. The first time I ever saw anything of yours, I'll never forget. I was in a Jack in the Box drive-through line, and I checked the social media and I saw you commented and I was like, oh, okay. And I clicked on your story and then you were like, tonight's Mike at the store and then hosted by Mike Vinn or Nathan. And then you spelled my name. It was like it was like a bunch of button mashing things. And I was like, at first, I swear to God, I was like, is there like an Indian comic with the first name Nathan? Because it was like Paj. And I was like, oh, that's, and then the back of my brain was like, no, you idiot, that's you. So, yeah. And I don't
That's
mind
funny. Yeah, I didn't.
being, sorry to interrupt, but villain vibe is one of the nicer things people have said about me. So I'm taking no offense whatsoever.
Yeah, but it wasn't like it was so entertaining. I'm not actually somebody who really for some reason I like roasts. Like those are
Okay.
kind of cool if they're well done, right? Like if they're just mean for mean's sake, that it's boring. I'm bored. But there's something about the way that you like kind of bring comics on stage, and we're gonna get into the whole Tuesday night thing also. But I want to know more about you as like a stand-up comic in general. But the way that you bring people on stage and you introduce people, I'm just like, God, that's or when people get off stage and you're just like, yeah, that person totally bombed. And I don't know what it must feel like to hear the host then like confirm how badly that comic just bombed or something, you know? So, and I imagine, and then open micers especially can be so, you know, they can be sensitive.
Very sensitive. Well, so when I host, when you suck, the audience wants somebody to go up there and tell them you suck, you ate at that time, you know? And that's why we get a lot of people that stick around for the whole show, you know, because I'll roast people, you know, and if they don't make you laugh, I've been told that I will, you know? So it feel like it's my job. If they do good, I say, hey, great job showing us how it's done, you know? But if they do bad, unfortunately, open mics have a lot of bad comedy. The room wants you to address it. You know, there's nothing that's going to make you lose a room faster than being like, well, isn't that great? Give it up. He tried. You know, that's the most important thing about comedy is trying. It don't matter funny. It's the trying that counts, you know, and
Yeah.
they don't buy that. So they wish they could be up there and tell you like that sucked. So that's, you know, where I step in. And yeah, you know, sometimes again, that's the East Coast vibe, you know, thicker skin. It's, you know, if you were to sit around like my family at a Thanksgiving dinner, the way that we roast each other, it would be like, oh my God, these people hate each other. But we don't. We love them because we say these things, you know, and they're our friends because we feel like we can bust their balls and everything. So.
Yeah, for sure. So tell me what got you started? Like what was your, because you're not doing open mics, you know, what was your first like when did you first get on the stage to do stand-up comedy and what kind of inspired that? Were you always a fan? You know, how did you get into stand-up?
Well, a couple of things. Like the 1 billionth person told me conversationally I was funny and I should be a stand-up comedian. So then I kind of had the, you know, courage and, you know, ego to go, well, you know, I might be good at this. And, you know, when I lived in New York, I would go to the Comedy Cellar and the Upright Citizens Brigade Theater religiously every weekend and absolutely loved it. But then I saw how rough like the New York open mic scene is. I never did it out there myself, but I'd seen a couple. And, you know, when you see how rough that is and then the people that you go see are so great, you know, they're the greats of the greats. You don't like have the, you know, I didn't have the audacity to be like, oh, yeah, I'm as funny as Patrice O'Neill. I could do that, you know, like that's,
Right.
you know, I just saw them at the Comedy Cellar. That looks easy, you know, they were just a masters. So it's a very intimidating place to start. When I moved out to San Diego, so yeah, a bunch of people told me that I should do stand-up. Have you ever seen Bumping Mics with Dave Attell? Okay, so episode 3, rewatch it. There's a lady that they make fun of her laugh, right? And they show her on screen and everything. That used to be my old yoga teacher.
Oh.
Yeah, and she would tell me all the time, Nathan, you're hilarious. You should go do stand up. So 2016, I went down to ACC 5 times and I never got pulled. It was multiple different hosts and everything, you know, and was just like, all right, gave it a little break. My brother was living with me for a little while and we lived right up on Broadway and 25th. So it was just an easy trek downtown. And, you know, in 2016, 16, I was butthurt. I was like, man, I never got picked. Oh. And then so like with my brother one night, I'm like, hey, let's go watch the open mic. Like with you here, it'll be fun. I can make fun of the people. He knows I'm great at making fun of people. I'm like, I could make fun of the people, to him and everything. So it was actually 6 years ago this week on the 18th that I did the mic at ACC, and I had jokes about weed just becoming legal, and a lot of there was one bit where I was like, I had my medical marijuana card, and even when I would put it on my windshield so people could see it walking by, I would still get tickets for parking in handicap parking spots. Like, I have a note from the only doctor that I've seen in 10 years. So that was the bit. And then I had jokes about like, why does the handicap parking sticker say DP? How do they know that they like double penetration? Is that what put them in a wheelchair? And the comic before me was Alan Henderson. So it looked like I had just riffed all of this hilarious like, handicap jokes because the guy before me went in a wheelchair, but I'm telling you, it was the most scripted 3 minutes ever. And I got off, and it was just like rock star status. I was like instantly hooked. Everybody's like, oh my God, that's great. And I was just instantly hooked after that. And then after that, it just became like, setting the bar. What can I do next? Can I get on a show? Can I make a little bit of money? Can I do, what next? So just kept doing that. And 6 months after starting, I got to host the ACC mic. Didn't work there or anything. Didn't even know that was like people that worked at clubs got hooked up and everything. Like that was explained to me later. But yeah, I hosted the mic for the first time and didn't do too shabby. And then like a month after that, not a month, it would have been like a week or two after that, Eddie Pozos was like, hey, do you want to be a sound guy here? And at first I was like, no way, dude. I got like a Monday through Friday 9 to 5, and I got like a kid coming in 6 months. So it just wouldn't be a good fit. And he's like, hey, 6 months, that's great. We'd love to have you. And I saw that they had like Kevin Smith and Eric Andre and, just a whole bunch of just insane people rolling through. And I was like, man, it would be awesome to just like get to meet these people and stuff, So took the job and everything, and it was great. And then I did the Halloween mic. I guest host. They had a lot of guest hosts that year for the mic, and then for the Halloween one, I did a bunch of costume changes, and then like that was great. And then they were like, hey, do you want to take over the mic in January? And that was actually 6 years or 5 years Tuesday was the 5-year anniversary of when I started doing it and everything. So yeah, so just naturally rolled in, and so now that it's nice because with the family and everything, I can't get out, as much as I like, but now I have at least one night a week where I can, leave and, get out and do my thing. So
yeah, and that's definitely one of my questions I had for you also. Well, first of all, I want to bring light to the fact that you didn't get picked the first year you tried putting your name in, and you just kept going.
Yep.
So shout out to all the comics who have complained about not being picked.
I find like it's obviously a curse because there have been so many people that have told me, they're like, I came, I would never get pulled, and then my name got pulled, and then I get pulled again, and then they're like, you must like my comedy, you must think I'm funny. And absolutely not, dude. No, I don't remember who you are, honestly, but So it seems like there's that curse that it takes a while, but once it does happen, then the floodgates are open, and
I love that. And thanks for sharing that too, because I do hear that so much, and not just from not just ACC's mic, but like any mic, and they're like, I don't know what's happening. Like there's just like nobody is spending that much time thinking about not pulling your name from the bucket when you're getting so many.
Insane. It's like people that you honest to God have no idea who they are will then be like, you oh what, you didn't pick my name, it's a vendetta against me. And you can like hold a gun to my head and be like, what's their name? And I'm like, I don't think I've seen that guy. Maybe outside walking in. We get 200 faces every week, only 50 of them are the same. I can't keep track. that part of my brain of saving people's faces is completely destroyed. That and repeating yourself. Before I was a comedian, I used to be like, I think I've told you this before, but now I'm a comedian. That part of my brain has just been lobotomized, and I'll go into repeat. Now people are like, you've told me this before. And I'm like, God damn it.
Yeah, yeah. I'm also reading McKay's comments here. He goes, "It's so rigged. I'm never coming back. Don't they know I should be a headliner? I have 600 followers on Instagram."
He knows
Yeah, for sure. I love that.
it. We get people. He's the sound guy. He'll tell you people like, why did you not post my picture? What is going on? It's like, first off, are you coming here for like a family portrait or to do comedy? You know, like, okay. Second off, again, there was probably not a good shot. You probably looked ugly as fuck in all of them, and we didn't want to go, let's post this on, right mid bad shot. Let's post that. No, we're saving you the embarrassment. So.
Yeah, yeah. I love that you brought that up too. So thanks for sharing that. I know people take things really personally, and it's like really so much of stuff, and there's so many breaks in comedy, especially just in such a small scene like San Diego, tends to be just out of like coincidence or out of chance. And maybe you do know somebody, maybe you did rub someone the wrong way, who knows? But it just seems like nobody's really outcast that long. Everybody kind of has a circle or has their chance to kind of get on the stage anywhere. There's so much stage time. Anybody can get on there. So for anyone to think that someone is just so like vehemently opposed to like putting someone on for 3 minutes on an open mic, I've always found a little bit entertaining. But I do know that you guys also reserve spots for the employees, which makes sense because they work there. Like
we
that
do,
makes
and
sense.
we're not here exclusive for you. News bomb. We juice it. If there's like, two people in a row at 9 o'clock or 9:10 that are bombing and butts are starting to leave, hey, congratulations, Chris Espinosa, Jim Pine, Alex Peregrina, one of an established, Alan Henderson, an established comic that are going to make people stay a little bit longer, And for me, if I was a comedian, I would appreciate that, more butts in the seats than just running it completely to the ground with like 5 bad people in a row. And then they don't understand. It's like, okay, well, we've seen enough. Let's get up and go. One of the first things that was noticed when I took over the mic is that people were staying longer until the end. And that was like, it used to be a mass exit at like 9, 9:15, 9:20, 9:30, dead by 10. It looks like Madhouse. No offense. I love you guys. But then when I took over, people started staying later, and one of that is I want it. It is. I'm telling you guys, 90% random outside of the employees. It's if people bomb or hey, I'm from out of town. We love out of towners. They go back, they post the picture of the social media. Then there's a bunch of people in a new city that see us and go, oh, what's that club? Maybe I'll check them out next time I'm there. So it's to think that it's 100% fair and it's always random for any mic is absolutely insane. This whole entertainment business, it's rigged. It's rigged. And I now even have said, I don't know if you've been to the mic recently, but maybe the past 6 months I've told people, just to let you know, I say random in air quotes because it's rigged. It's totally rigged. You have no chance of getting up tonight. We used AI weeks ago to determine tonight's lineup. So the fact that people don't know that, or act shocked, that's on them. But, I wish we could get everybody up, especially, honest to God, I drive from Oceanside. So when somebody tells me, hey, I drove from so-and-so, or I know they drove from someplace, and they didn't get up, it breaks my heart. Gas is expensive. I wish we could make it, but we have done experiments in the past where we've just said, let's get up every comedian. And then what happens is we, from 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock, it's just dead, And to me, keeping it the tight 2 hours, it makes it more of a show. People say our open mic feels more like a show than an open mic. And I think here's the hard set times, I think me going out there at 9 o'clock and being like, all right, you guys have made it halfway through, can really make it show setting instead of just like, hey, how long can you stand it?
Yeah. Exactly. You're sure. Yeah, it is hands down one of the best, maybe like top 2 best open mics in all of San Diego. And I love going. It's just such a party. Like that's the only way that I can really describe the ACC open mic. It is just like a party because you do keep the rhythm going. When it does start to lull, when the comics are kind of back to back, just like, ugh, you
Mm-hmm.
know, now it makes sense. Like then you pop on somebody like a Chris Espinosa or a Jim Pine, and it does keep it going. It's like, okay, yeah, like I would stay. I have literally been close to leaving, and then you'll pop someone on and I'm like, okay, cool. Like I'll just stay for this, and then then you hit a couple of good open micers that are doing well. So that
Exactly.
actually brings a lot of clarity to that. So there is some like some method to that madness for sure. But it is one of the most entertaining, probably one of the few mics that I will stay at from beginning to end
Thank
because
you.
it is so entertaining. And I don't do that. I'm just kind of notorious for leaving shows sometimes even. It's just because that is, I mean, I also have like ADHD sometimes, and I'm like, okay, I'm bored. I've heard these jokes before.
Yeah,
So
2 hours can be a marathon of attention pain for, us with the,
yeah,
constant thinking and the distractions and, so.
totally. And going back to, so I can imagine you're hearing all the stuff in the comics and all of that, but you also have like, you're a family man. You have like a full-time job, you have a family. How do you balance this like this whole thing between like, okay, I got my business and my work stuff and my family stuff, plus I got to deal with like open micers saying there's a conspiracy theory against them. Like what kind of keeps you balanced in that way? Or are you
Not
actually just totally imbalanced?
at all. Not. It's complete chaos. I'm constantly disappointing one, and then I'll make up time with the one, and then the other one is disappointed. So it's a
Yeah.
constant vicious cycle of disappointment and not enough hours of the day. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's crazy. I got two little ones, and it breaks my heart sometimes. Like I did Matt McCusker, like not this weekend, the weekend before, and when you have like a 5-year-old going, "No, Daddy, it's not Tuesday. You're not supposed to go." It kind of like breaks your heart and everything. And they're only going to be this age for a little bit, so I want to spend as much time. See, I screwed up. I started comedy and then 3 months later knocked my wife up. And yeah, it was, and she loves this story too. So I'm going to clip this and send it to her. We went and saw Doug Stanhope at the store, and yeah, I had gotten so liquored up, and we waited for him outside because I had his 3 books. And he came by in his Uber with his manager, Brian Hennigan. And I was like, Mr. Stanhope, can you please sign a book? And he's like, "One, Johnny." And I was like, "Oh, okay, thank you." And he's like, I was like, why did you call me Johnny? He's like, "Because you look like my friend Johnny Depp." And this was 40 pounds ago. And my wife heard that, and it made her so wet and fertile after that we conceived him. And I even made my announcement to my parents on stage because I went out and I was like, started my set off doing a bunch of horrible dad jokes. And then I was like, "I'm sorry, I'm changing my comedy style because I'm going to be a dad." And I pulled out the sonogram.
Oh
And then,
my God.
yeah, and then went over to my phone and was like, "This is not a joke. I am being for real right now." And then, sent that to my parents to make the announcement. My dad, he called me and gave me my favorite reaction to a joke ever, which is, "Are you fucking with me? I can't tell if you're fucking with me," which has been like a classic reaction of his forever that I just love. And my mom, she still doesn't know that we had kids. She just said great set, so I'm sure she hasn't listened. No, but yeah, no, I had to tell her like, "Hey," she's like, "Oh, great, I love it." And it's like, "No, Mom, no, really listen to this one."
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, are you fucking with me?" And so
That's amazing. That's such a clever way to break the news too. I
yeah,
love that. Starting off with the dad jokes and just being like, nope, just preparing for fatherhood here.
definitely.
That's awesome. That's so cool. Okay, well thanks for that honesty too about like maybe it's not always in
No,
balance. It's not always perfect, right?
not
So
at
it's just
all.
kind of an
No,
ongoing
I'll
thing.
come back from
Um,
the mic like they'll know because I'll be like, I gotta go," and it's like 10:10, and I'm running out the door. That I'm coming back to do like an hour or two of work before the next day. And
yeah.
a kid will wake up during that. So
Yeah.
just
What would you do if your kids were like, "Oh, I want to be a stand-up comic"?
I would talk them out of it because The
Really?
last thing this world needs is another Donovan with a microphone. No. No, I would love it. Actually, my little boy, he's starting to take quite a liking to it. You know, he's been down to ACC, not for a show or anything. Well, he was there for the Katie Scarloff podcast, and just they did during ComicCon. And he's, you know, I try to show him, you know, here's why I went bye-bye, you know, last night. And he's actually given me a joke a couple weeks ago. He was like, hey, tell everybody I farted on a blanket. And I was like, all right, great joke, kid. So we went
Done.
out there and recorded it. And then, you know, it was like told the audience beforehand, I'm like, hey, I'm going to do this joke. It's from he was 4 at the time. I'm like, it's from a 4-year-old. You know, let's give it a big reaction. And they did. And then, you know, showed him, he watched that like 1,000 times in the week and
Oh,
everything. It was,
that's so
you know,
cute. That's super
his
sweet.
teacher at school too tells like so another parent ratted us out, like ratted me out. So we went to the parent teacher conference and everything, and so he's just a rowdy kid. He's like his dad. You know, he got in trouble a couple weeks ago. I posted it on my Instagram that he was yelling penis, you know, really loud throughout this, you know, playground during recess and everything. And you know, my first reaction is, well, was it killing or bombing? Like, should I be upset about this? And then we went to the parent teacher conference, and she told us that he's so like unintentionally funny. He cracks me up. And one of the moms at the soccer practice was like, "Oh, his dad's a comedian." And she was like, "Oh, and when I heard that, I was like, oh, this totally makes sense. He's probably going to grow up to be," when you're like, okay, you know, cute. So obviously I would encourage it, you know, any dream that they have. I want to be the type of parent that says, you know, do it. But, you know, comedy is rough. It's rigged. It's all rigged. You know, I'm certainly not going to pop them in.
You're not gonna pop them in. That's hilarious. Yeah, I'd imagine because it does take a certain type of personality, a certain type of resilience for comics, especially if you've been doing this for 6, 7 years now. Sorry, I don't know
Yeah.
math.
No,
Um,
it's all right. 6 years.
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, have there ever been times when you're like, okay, I'm opting out of this. I don't want to do this anymore.
Like one time after a really bad bomb I had with Dove Davidoff, first night, Thursday night, was just atrocious, and on the way home just was like, why am I doing this? Like it was like the first big name I opened for, first big time, and it just makes you rethink it. Like you're terrible. You're an open mic. You're great at the open mic. You suck at this. That drive home probably was the only time, but the next 2 nights it killed. He even told me the next night, was like, "Oh, you actually are funny." I was like, "Oh, thank you. Yeah, sorry, but I was doing some untested stuff the night before, you know." And yeah, other than that, no, I mean, I love it. It's a great outlet. You know, it helps me just keep my mouth shut at work and at home and family functions. Normally, I can cut it up. I can make everybody laugh here. And now I'm like, nobody's cutting me a check. I don't need to make them laugh. I don't need to
Right.
be their
Yeah.
entertainment.
Yeah. What was your family's reaction when you're like, I want to start doing this? Were they like pretty supportive? Did they come to your shows? Or were they like, don't do that? That's a waste of your time. Like, what
No,
was the reaction?
my dad is actually a comedian in the Midwest, and he has been doing it since 2006, and that does a lot of casinos, and you know, pulls in a pretty good penny. And they were all very supportive, and you know, nobody that has known me my life was shocked by this at all. You know. What would shock them is at 40 if they're like, oh no, he has like a 9 to 5 and kids and a house. Like if you would have told everybody in high school, like, oh, he's 40 living in his car trying to be a comedian, they'd been like, exactly what we thought, you know. So it was just a matter of time for a lot of people. And like I said, my dad started in New York, so I got to see how rough the open mic scene was there, and was like, all right, you know, I don't really have the time for that, you know. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, so feel blessed, you know, just getting to start out here at the best club, in my opinion, in the world. And You know, it's just that for them to just, take me under their wing and everything, it's just been awesome. So I haven't
Yeah.
really thought about quitting it because 6 months in, I started to, get hooked up with ACC, and why would you ever want to, quit that?
Yeah.
So
It's a great club. It's definitely a favorite of mine for sure. Um, yeah, I think what you said about that was really interesting too, because especially people who are in stand-up comedy, they tend to be a little bit like um the whole like Arrested Development type of thing. Sorry to all the comics watching this. They don't really seem to like go past this, or like they're still very much in the same. Like there are plenty of comics who've been doing this same amount as you, who are not working full-time jobs, not having family lives, and whatever. So it is pretty interesting. Hi, Marshall. Nice to see you on here again. Um, so it is pretty interesting that it's like, oh no, you are like a whole human. Like you have like all of it together. You have an actual
thank
life.
you. That's what I'm trying to pull off here. I'm glad you buy it.
Yeah, I mean,
Uh,
I'm sure it's like flawed and very imperfect in some ways, but that's just life in general. But also,
yeah.
so just the fact that you have this all going, so that's why I'm always kind of like, how do you just keep going? That's so exhausting. It must be pretty exhausting, but I don't know. There's no
A
real
little
question.
bit of math every so often, just a little bit math.
It helps.
But yeah, no, I know what you mean, and it's sad too, because like sometimes comedy is the only thing some people have, and it's just it shouldn't. I don't know how to say this because like I guess if you're, you know, it's such a tightrope to walk. You know what I mean? Like if it's going to be your everything, is the payoff really going to be worth it? And there's a million people out there that it's their everything. I never started off because, like I said, when I saw stand-up comedy in New York, I'm like, well, I could never do that. You know what I mean? But it's kind of like going and watching the Bulls play and then being like, well, I could never be Michael Jordan, so I shouldn't do it. It's not that mentality. But yeah, a lot of people, it's 100% everything that they have, and then it's crazy too, because then you see that's like their whole thing, but then it's like, where's your website? How are you promoting? What's the next step? It's just, oh, you're going to go to the mic every night, and then one night, the Netflix producer is going to be in the audience and just sign you right away. It's like, I don't think that's how that industry works. I think you got to do a little bit more than that to promote yourself and push yourself and make a brand and everything, and just hit up
Yeah.
every mic every single night.
Such a good point. Yeah. For the people, because I definitely would never dismiss anyone who does make comedy their full thing.
Yeah,
Like, if this is what you want to do and this is 100%, you're putting everything else on pause to like dedicate yourself to this, then go for it. But go for it,
yeah,
go all out with the branding, with the social media, with the website, with your jokes. Obviously, if you're going to be hitting up the mics every night, make it worth it, and also make
mhm,
yourself easily findable and easily bookable and easily
right,
have recent headshots, for God's sakes, like whatever it is, it's the whole thing that you need to also be part of, not just the craft of comedy.
right.
So yeah, and if you don't have anything else going on, you should have the time to dedicate yourself full on to being obsessed with just making it in comedy. Then yeah, that's a
Yeah,
really
but it
good
shouldn't be
point.
the local scene. You know what I mean? Your obsession shouldn't be the local scene. It
Right.
should be a global, more, out there. Everything shouldn't hinder on, your local mics. It should be more than that. So, and I think that
Absolutely.
there's a little bit of a toxicity in the local scene with it just being, some people will never achieve that. So it's the, boiling crabs in a pot. They're just going to pull the ones that are going up down with them.
Ooh,
So.
yeah. Yeah, for sure. And that was actually one of my questions for you too. How do you kind of, well, I mean, not kind of. So, how do you navigate the conflicts, any conflicts, if you ever experience any in San Diego comedy? Like, how do you have some kind, especially working as a host for a favorite, mic at a great club? Like, I can only imagine, because I get so much flack just running this thing sometimes, and I'm like, I'm not even doing anything, I'm just trying to
Why
do
are
my
you
job.
interviewing him? Why haven't you interviewed me yet? I have
Exactly.
344 followers. Are you crazy? I'm the funniest one in San Diego. It's me.
A
Yeah, I can
hundred
imagine.
percent. Yeah. And I'm just like, damn, no one's paying me money for this. I'm just doing it. So I can only imagine. And you are actually out there, in the field with the comics. Like, how do you navigate this whole social structure of like, Comedy? Like, are you just like, fuck you guys, I'm not paying attention,
Yeah,
or is it
that's it. It's basic. I don't have the time for it. I don't have the energy for it. It's much easier just not to fucking think about you. You
yes,
know, if there's somebody that is like I'm like has openly talked shit online about me or something, if I see him out, it's just like, hey, great. You do
yes,
your thing, I'll do my thing. We can exist and I'm not going to be brought down to the drama level. It's just I don't have time. And then I'm also lucky because I'm sheltered too. So, I'm mostly at ACC. You don't like me, fuck you.
yeah,
Don't come, So
yeah,
it's that simple. So it's not like I have to, tiptoe and, I don't know. You want to make friends with everybody. This should be like we should all be friends, And, unfortunately people they see things riding on this, their future, money and everything, so they don't feel like that. But for me, I know it's a dirty word. I'm a hobby comic, you know what I mean? And so it's fun for me,
yeah,
and like if you're not fun, I'm not going to be around you. And I've, got the blessing that I don't have to be. So, that's how I deal with
yeah.
it. Just fuck off.
Yeah, amen. No, I like that, and I will take that to heart too. Because sometimes it's like this should be fun. Like I like comedy because it's fun. I don't want to get involved in your ego stuff and like
You're never gonna make everybody happy. If you do something to change something, somebody else is gonna bitch. Like after doing it for 5 years and like the first year really maybe first 2 years like really like okay guys what could we do I really what is it and trying new things and stuff and then just constantly then something else we don't like this
yeah,
you're never going to make them happy, so don't try. You just do what you want to do, and that's where the key to success is.
yeah,
Like I forgot that one producer was just recently record producers like the audience comes last to me. That's not how I feel. They come first to me. The comics come last. You know what I mean? Like I
yeah,
want to. I want to expose people to good comedy, and I think that's what you're trying to do too. So if you have people
yeah,
bitching, just let them go.
yeah.
Block. It's okay,
Yeah, I know what you're saying too. That was Rick Rubin. I think he says that. He says when he's producing music, he only has like that art piece, like that in mind to make it the greatest as a piece of art or whatever. And if the audience likes it later, like that's great. But it's just like, but literally, this is like performance for an audience. Like you need an audience, and
Uh,
I have always been like aligned with you, like in like we need audiences. So I want to make this fun for the audience. And
quick
sometimes that's
side
not.
note here for the producer Rick Rubin. I love your music choices on your reels. I mean, the indie rock is great. You posted something like 2 weeks ago with that '90s song "Banditos,"
Oh
and I've been listening to that.
yeah.
Like, I hadn't heard that song in 20 years, and then I heard it on your reel and was like, "Oh my God!" That's been like on replay
Hell yeah.
nonstop. It's been taking me back. So, great
Yes.
choice of music.
So good. It's 90s stuff. Love it.
Mm.
All right. Where I think this has been so much fun. Did we really get through? Oh, I wanted to know what you did with ComicCon. What do you do for ComicCon with
I just enjoy the hell out of it, man. I dressed up. I came out in 2005. I was living in Brooklyn, and then at the end of Comic Con was like, I'm moving to San Diego. I'm moving, and so moved out here for it. And then in like 2007, started cosplaying. And then found like when you dress up in a good costume, people invite you into bars. You get so much more free shit. So like, me and my friends, we just dress up and we just go party our ass off. I mean, it's like Mardi Gras for nerds. It's if you just go downtown. Have you ever seen
Yeah.
it? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I was definitely I when I didn't realize like how big it was until like a few years after living here. And then all my friends would come down and I was just like, "Oh, okay, I guess it is." I mean, that's never really been my scene. I like all the costumes. I like the enthusiasm around it. I love like the dedication, like the time that people put into like making it a thing. It just again, that just feels like a good like nice party that people like to go to and like really get to be around and interact with people that like and support the shows that they like and all that stuff, right?
And it's
Yeah.
just great because everybody's friends, It's just an
Yeah.
amazing time. Like it's my favorite time of year. So, yeah, it's
Not
we
great for
got we could talk another
driving
whole
around. Yeah.
time.
Not great for driving around. There's a ton of
No,
traffic around that
no,
side
no,
and
no.
Airbnbs. Yeah. Yeah. So, I saw that you had met Ari Shaffir.
Yeah, so that was great. So I'm opening for Matt. They tell me, all right, we're going to start right on time. Matt might not be here. You're doing 10. If he's, a little bit longer, just stretch. And we're like, all right. He's at Balboa Theater. So then Matt comes. He's like, right on time. And we do the first show. Second show, I had some friends out in line. So I went out there to go, see them. And I was talking to them. And the door guy's like, hey, Nathan. And I turn around and I see Ari there, and I knew exactly what was going on. And I just left my conversation with the friends and was like, he's good, he's good, he's good, and walked down there and everything. And yeah, he was great. I can't repeat the joke, but I made him laugh so hard he buried his face and bicycle kicked in the air.
Hell
And we're
yeah.
getting that from the security footage. So that was like one of the highlights of my weekend, was just the one joke that I said to him that cracked him up. And yeah, he came out, and I mean, it was so funny because at first 3 times he said, no, I'm just going to chill. I just got done. He told the manager, and then the sound guy comes in, like 15 minutes before, hey, here's what time we're going to start the second one, say music request. Are you going to do any time? No, no, I'm just going to chill. And I had asked him walking in, and I was like, oh, hey, do you want to do some times? Like, no, no. But then when they did the, 5-minute check, coming to get the light, I saw him, and he had that look on his face like, and I'm like, dude, do you want to make their fucking heads explode? He's like, I'm kind of regretting, saying no. And I was like, there's no need to live with regret. The show hasn't started. And then he's like, hey, Matt, can I jump on? He's like, yeah, absolutely. He's like, how much time? Just whatever. He's like, I'll only do 7. And it was like, oh, great. So just to and that's what I love. I mean, for me, that's to get to share the stage with the people that I enjoy, get to shake their hand as they're coming off,
Yeah.
and just get that honor. Like, that's what keeps it in it for me, like that's the biggest payoff, is just getting to share the, stage. And like I said, a small town from Illinois, getting to post those shots, with Dan Soder and, Shane Gillis and stuff. It's it's just rubbing elbows with celebrities is why I'm in the game, basically. I know I'll never headline, but I could open for the headliner.
That's awesome. Yeah, that was so cool. And you do have some pretty cool pictures with just some big names. I'm like, this is so much fun. Like, it just feels like you get like such a great like insight look with some of the greatest people who are doing comedy right now. So yeah, that's awesome. He sounds like he was a pretty nice guy. Has there been anyone that you've met, and maybe you don't have to name their names, but or you can if you want, who you met and you've been like, oh, that guy was way lamer, or that girl was lamer.
Yeah, I'm not going to name names, but there have definitely been people. And it's always funny because it's like the smaller named
Oh,
people that you're like, I've never had an A-lister be anything other than like fantastic, And then you meet like somebody that, viral sensation or something like that, a YouTuber where you're like, you have a very limited audience, and then they'll, cop attitude with you and everything. So, it happens, but for
yeah.
the majority of it, I mean, it's mostly professionals. When they come into our club, it's an A-list club. It's not like we're dealing with amateurs or people with a bad rap or anything like that. We get the people that are on their way to doing Balboa Theater the next time they come through to town and everything. So usually by that point, those people have known to be respectful to the club and, have a good professional attitude. But there've been occasional. I mean, it's mostly the local people that'll give you the most shit, but the big name, people, absolutely not. So.
So, because you are someone who has, I mean, you are around, you have been around comedy so much, you understand what it takes to entertain an audience. I've seen you do it, and you're great at it. Has there been any other, like, maybe up and coming comics in San Diego or even coming through LA that you are like, oh, that person's, I can see them kind of taking off in a few years, or,
Oh yeah.
um,
I'm a big fan of Andrew Tarr.
oh, yeah.
He was a local guy that, I've told him 1,000 times, if anybody ever is going to make it, it's going to be you.
Yeah.
So I could see him right now. You know, you never know. That's the crazy thing is, you know, not necessarily local people, but even some comics that just come through. One day you're opening for them, and then the next, you know, they're, you know, selling out arenas and stuff, and you're just like, wow, that happened. You know, Matt Rife, you know, the work with him, and you know, to see him blow up like that and everything, it's, you know, it's crazy. Like, you know, there's definitely San Diego has got some talent, you know, but I think right now, okay, between me and you, the pendulum is kind of swinging the other way because for a while there were so many greats in San Diego that have now just moved. I mean, Derek Poston, Asan, you know, Sam, Andrew Tarr, a lot of people moved that were Joe Gorillo, you know, that were the greats, and now since that's kind of dried up, we're kind of on the other side. So it's cool that we're going to see a new batch come in and, you know, rise the ranks and stuff. So there's definitely some people out there that make me laugh, you know, and just because you don't make me laugh doesn't mean you're not funny, you know. What's his name? Jimmy Fallon makes people, you know, billions of people laugh every night, never me once. So obviously, if one person doesn't like your style, that doesn't necessarily mean you're not funny, you know. So
yeah, for sure. Thanks for being realistic about that too. Like I know I'll like promote like a big variety of comedy and comics because I know not everyone is like what I like, but I know that there's other audiences out there that's meant for them. So like just because one person doesn't make you laugh doesn't mean that they're not funny in general. I think being able to have that bigger picture, and you just really don't know who's going to make it, like you said.
yeah,
Cool. Yeah, Andrew Tarr is in Austin now, I think, right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I think, is there anything else that you wanted to chat about before we wrap up? We got about I don't know, 10 minutes, 12 minutes. I swear I know math.
It's all right. It's all right. No, you know, it's just been great chatting with you and everything. I'd love to see everybody come out on Tuesday night. Again, open mics, sign up 7:15 to 7:50. If you bring more than 5 people, you get a guaranteed spot. We put those people on after 9:30, after last call, because we want as many butts and nuts in the seats as long as possible while we're serving booze, because we're a business too. And so, you know, it's right now it sucks because gyms are not the only ones that see a huge influx of people trying new things. I mean, we've got those New Year's resolution comics, and I'm not knocking them. I was one of them, you know. So, but there's just a big influx at this time of year and everything. And you know, people always ask me for advice, and I would say the number one advice I would give is be funny.
Yeah.
That's that's it. So
Yeah.
you know, thank you for what you're doing and promoting everybody. It's great. You know, I love getting to see you expose me to people that I have no idea about because you know they're up in North County and everything. So it's great to see you know what's going on at other clubs for us people that can't make it out there. So God bless you and thank you again for your service.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. And I never really know who's watching. I do most of this just to entertain myself, but it's really, I love hearing when other people get some use out of it. You know,
Walk away.
besides the comics, I just like seeing their names on places. Like when people are using the resources out there, like I'm like, thank you. That's amazing.
No, you know, my name and face rotates at the club, so I feel like it gets out there enough, you know. So I could see, you know, people want, you got to get me, you got to promote me. Why aren't you, you know? But no, it's like I said, don't try to make these people happy.
I appreciate.
Don't just you make them happy.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And everybody, if you have not gone to an open mic at ACC on Tuesday nights, you have to go. It is so much fun. I just want to make this a little bit more personal. I went there during one of the most devastating and sad times in my entire life, and I left that place with a smile on my face every single time. So it really was a great form of therapy. Comedy is so great for the soul, and it really just got me through like one of the toughest times of my life. And so I thank you, Nathan. I thank the club and all the open micers and everybody. So thanks for doing this interview with me. I really appreciate you.
Of course. Thank you so much. May the force be with you.